Welcome to the first sprint race of the weekend. The drivers are raring to go and ready for an exciting weekend of racing. Let's look at the grid order for today's race while the cars make their final preparations. Teo Porcher has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position. And it's Roy Nissany in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Lawson, Sato, Logan Sargent, Vesti, Awasa, Hauger, Doohan, J.N. Daruvala, Boschong, Fittipaldi, Jake Hughes, Cordial, Caldwell, Calderon, Drugovic, Callan Williams, Verschoor, Vips, Novalak, and Marcus Armstrong completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's get down to the track. The formation lap gets underway for this, the Formula 2 race, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure the car is ready for battle once the lights go out. We are almost ready to start the Formula 2 race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations. for ART then, after a quality performance. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just one lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own, you can just push and push.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
Probably Yuri Vips. You know, strong pace, good work with the strategy, just a very complete drive, I think.
That's the end of today's race. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure you'll agree it was a great race and sets us up nicely for the next instalment in a few weeks' time. Take care. From Davide and I, it's goodbye.